Conspiracy to deprive civil liberties. This is my case dismissed by the Eastern District Court of New York, dismissed again by the Second Circuit Appeals Court of New York, and denied on writ of Victoria by the United States Supreme Court. These civil right violating judges are involved in cover-ups for the crimes and human right abuses against me. They follow no set of laws or court rules. They are subjecting the people of this country to conspiracies to defraud and obstruction of justice with real threats to murder you for exercising a right to civil action and or exercising your freedom of speech right and exposing their misconduct. As relevant to my case, these court conspirators framed 3 individuals in a homicide trial for gang assault, sentencing one to 15 years, the second to 10 years, and the third to 5 years. They forged an indictment after the grand jury dismissed the charges against me, revoked my bail, taking my bond away, unlawfully incarcerated me for 3 months, forcing me to pay for a second bail. Queens County District Attorney, judges, and attorneys acted in collusion, did this to force me to be a state witness for them under duress, to falsify testimony at trial against these defendants. After the trial, these court framers unlawfully sentenced me to a misdemeanor and then terminated the 3 years probation 2 weeks later to keep me quiet about their conspiracy. As a direct result of exercising my right to civil suit in reporting the corruption and misconduct, these state and federal officials formally engaged in an officially sanctioned campaign of gang stalking to prevent me from presenting my claims. The type of harassment the federal government used against me is called gang stalking, which is a covert government operation designed to destroy a target. Gang stalking is a method of harassment by a group of people against an individual in order to harass them and demean them on a consistent basis over an extended period of time. The police and FBI to pursue me through wiretaps to my phone and internet service and install the GPS in my car while being in the Kings County Family Court. Subsequently, they authorized the FBI to terrorize me with death threats for suing these state judges. In the Berks County Family Court, they instructed Mid-Penn to deny me legal services and represent the mother. The Berks County Family Court judge then deprived me my right to present witnesses at an evidentiary hearing and deferred my case to New York without concluding the jurisdiction matter, so these court framers in New York can frame me for domestic offenses. Kings County Family Court judge acted in conspiracy with the mother's attorney and the attorney they assigned to me, framed me for menacing in the second degree for a crime she never even alleged or testified to taking place. Together, they staged a mistrial since the mother failed to allege abuse on the stand, and then edited the court transcripts to cover up their fraud. The defendant judge coerced the mother on the stand, deprived me of my right to counsel and right to cross-examination. He declared emergency jurisdiction to deprive me of my right to parenting and communication with my child for over 2 years now, in a malicious attempt to force me to relinquish my custody rights. Summary: this civil right violating family court judge was strong-arming me into giving the court jurisdiction by and through the deprivation of communication with my son. These said volatile acts were done with the consent and authorization of the United States federal courts, which refused to protect me from the state judge's abusive acts. They simultaneously, in a continuing pattern of harassment, utilized hospitals and medical facilities to deprive me of medical care and medications, Social Security benefits, and interim assistance from the County Assistance Office in order to prevent me from pursuing my claims. Moreover, they then utilized the Reading Water Authority to extort me for money through unlawful turnoffs, cut off my water supply, forcing me to live without running water to my home for 8 months, and were ordering me to vacate my home. These are just some of the things they did. These federal and state officials violated my 1st, 4th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 14th Amendment rights, acting in concert in a conspiracy to defraud. They violated the Social Security Act of 1935, the Child Jurisdiction Enforcement Act of 1997, and other statute and constitutional provisions. which consummated in destroying the relationship with my child. In summary, the Supreme Court has denied my writ of certiorari against these corrupted officials, which presents legitimate questions over federal law to cover up their corruption. In short, what these corrupt officials are really saying is if you're not a suburban white citizen of this country, you have no right to a trial for crimes and human rights abuses committed by public officials. Let me speak plainly. Far rights to sue and freedom of speech is being trampled on. We are living in a dictatorship. Far rights to parent our children is trampled on, and we are being framed for criminal offenses in these courts. We are living in a dictatorship. Far right to present witnesses and cross-examine in court is trampled on. We are living in a dictatorship. We are threatened with murder and being subject to live in a hostile living environment for exercising our rights. We are surely living in a dictatorship. It's called despotism. It can mean tyranny, dominance, the threat of punishment, of violence. These modern dictators usually use force or fraud to gain power and then keep it through intimidation, terror, suppression of civil liberties, and control over the mass media. Let's not forget the deaths of Senator Schaefer and her husband, Pam Gaston, Sonny Shue, and Michael Hastings. These are just a few of the many victimized citizens, which simplifies what it means to live in a real dictatorship. In order for us to have a real democracy in this country, we have to first begin by weeding out these corrupted public officials. If there is no justice in this country, then there can be no peace. History teaches us that justice only prevails in this country if we fight for it. These government officials have forgotten their oath to office. They say it's anti-government shenanigans to stand up for the rights the people of this country have so long fought and struggled for. I say it's government shenanigans to deprive people of their children, frame innocents in court, and murder citizens for exercising their rights. Last segment of the video, I have set up a brief display of some of the evidence against these forces for you to view. Additional evidence can be viewed in my Dropbox at the link displayed during the course of this video. You can go there and read the court transcripts, and you will see the mother does not testify to being physically threatened with a firearm as convicted by this framing judge. Upon concluding the jurisdiction matter, this framing judge holds over the decision for 9 months to continue depriving me of my son. Here's what's happening now. The attorney and framing judge were replaced by some new court conspirators, and his last order, he subjected me to some more fraud, declaring New York the state having jurisdiction. These new court conspirators picked up right where he left off, refusing to let me see my son and conspiring to award the mother custody. The district court judge of Allentown, Pennsylvania, acted in conspiracy with the rest of the court conspirators, holding up the case against the Social Security Administration for approximately 1 year now. On a motion to dismiss, which was frivolous, he left it undetermined for 8 months. The case against the Reading Water Authority in the Berks County Court of Common Pleas, the judge denies my first request for leave to amend and orders me to arbitrate, violating my 7th Amendment right to a trial and the Federal Arbitration Act to cover up their fraud, and possibly induce some more fraud through their arbitrators. Please don't forget to read in my Dropbox my writ to the Supreme Court. Okay, these first two documents are the forged indictment. If you notice, the foreman's signature is scribbled. There is no court seal or district attorney signature. The next document is the court's order terminating the 3-year probation 2 weeks later after the sentencing to keep me quiet about their conspiracy to defraud. This next document is the attorney's motion to withdraw from my case in the Kings County Family Court because I accused him and the judge of being in a conspiracy to mistrial the case since the mother failed to allege abuse. If you notice, the first page second paragraph, he admits to walking into the courtroom to greet me, as opposed to what the transcripts will say in the next few documents. Also, if you notice that the judge is hinting to the mother's attorney about declaring a mistrial since the mother failed to allege abuse on the stand, and he's preparing her for when the lawyer walks into the courtroom to mistrial the case, so she can act like she's opposed to the mistrial rather than for the mistrial. At no time did I leave the courtroom to go outside and speak with the attorney. As he stated in his motion, he just simply walked into the courtroom and mistrialed the case under the direction of the court. Okay, these next 5 pages is the mother's attorney committing fraud and perjury. Under the penalties of perjury, her and the judge on page 4 of these documents, you'll notice they stated a case called Richardson versus Richardson. This is case law made up by her and the judge to act like the court has jurisdiction to proceed on family offenses in the state of Pennsylvania. Okay, this next document is the mother's attorney again committing fraud and perjury. On the penalties of perjury, she states it was necessary for the judge to declare emergency jurisdiction so they could deprive me of my child. Okay, these next 13 pages of transcripts prove the mother and the judge were acting in a conspiracy to deprive me of my child by declaring emergency jurisdiction. At no time was there an emergency at hand. The only issue was that they were trying to force me into giving up the interim custody order issued by the state of Pennsylvania. The interim custody order was a forced agreement by a paid attorney acting in conspiracy with the Berks County Family Court judge. The order forced me to settle for 10 days out of the month visitation, forcing me to commute to New York to pick up my child and then drop him back off to New York when the visitation expired. The paid attorney stated to me if I didn't make the custody agreement, I would not see my child to the outcome of the case. These next 13 pages of transcripts, you will see the judge coercing the mother on the stand to say that she was staying in Pennsylvania and commuting to my home in Pennsylvania under duress. Also, you'll see the judge refusing to allow me to question the mother about prior testimony given in the state of Pennsylvania at an evidentiary hearing, where she stated that I must have been stalking her outside of her home. He did this throughout the family offense proceedings. Any type of questioning that would discredit the mother's credibility, he would interrupt me and not allow the questioning. This document is the court's order for a subpoena for the mother's phone records. The judge, when he signed the order, stated that he didn't believe that T-Mobile would hand over those records. This document is from T-Mobile, which withheld her phone records throughout the entire family court proceedings. They stated they did not own the number. Sprint sent me a letter stating that T-Mobile did in fact own the phone number I was seeking. The phone records would prove threatening text messages sent by the mother and where my child resided prior to her commencing the family court proceedings. These next 5 pages are the transcripts. You'll see the judge telling me that prior testimony goes away because he declared the case a mistrial and does not allow me to question her prior testimony. This document is the very first threat that I got from the FBI while surfing the internet right after I filed my lawsuit. These photographs are of the GPS they placed in my vehicle while being in the Kings County Family Court. If you notice, on the left hand corner of the GPS it states ABS plus PC, which means brakes plus computer. What happens is when I step on the brakes, it gives them a signal to my location. These next documents are from the Public Utility Commission. They were shutting down my power to the electrical supply company MetEd to drain my alarm battery from my home so they could illegally enter my premises. If you notice, the state worker blacked out her name when she sent me the report because she was probably too afraid that it'll get back to her.